reciting Quranic verses in Arabic. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
Wasatiyya, or balance, is not merely a concept. It is the cornerstone of a righteous life, a path between extremes.
In the endless sands of Mauritania, a baby boy was born around 1967. The desert winds carried whispers of faith and tradition, and the boy, named Mahfouz Ould al-Walid, grew up under that sky, quiet, curious, and deeply devoted to Islam. From an early age, Mahfouz showed a rare gift for learning.
Reciting Quranic verses in Arabic.
By the time he was 12, he had memorized the entire Quran. His family, known for their religious piety, encouraged him to study Islamic law, theology, and Arabic literature. As a teenager, he spent countless nights under oil lamps reading classical texts of fiqh, Islamic jurisprudence, and tafsir, Quranic exegesis. He would later study at Mauritania University and then pursue advanced studies in Islamic Sharia in Sudan, gaining a reputation as a brilliant young scholar. By the time he was in his early 20s, Mahfouz was already being called the young jurist from the desert. Moon, the call of jihad. The 1980s were turbulent years. The Soviet Union had invaded Afghanistan, and across the Muslim world came a call to arms, the cry of jihad. Mahfouz, now around 22 or 23 years old, felt the pull. To him, it was not just war. It was a chance to defend faith, to live what he had studied. Leaving his family and homeland, he traveled thousands of miles to Afghanistan. There, amid the chaos of war, his life took a turn that would forever mark his name in history. Mountains, meeting bin Laden, the birth of Abu Hafs al-Mauritani. In Afghanistan, Mahfouz met a tall, soft-spoken Saudi millionaire who had left wealth behind to fight in the mountains, Osama bin Laden. The two men were different, yet bound by a shared sense of mission. Bin Laden saw in Mahfouz the scholar he needed, a man who could give religious weight to his cause. Mahfouz took on a new name, Abu Hafs al-Mauritani, the father of Hafs, the Mauritanian. He soon became one of the early founders of Al-Qaeda, serving not as a fighter, but as its chief religious scholar and ideologue. His writings and interpretations of Islamic law gave the fledgling organization its theological backbone. But within him, a quiet conflict was growing. Internal conflict. By the late 1990s, Abu Hafs was a respected voice inside Al-Qaeda's Shura Council, Leadership Council. Yet he began to see the danger in what the group was becoming, a movement losing its moral compass. When Osama bin Laden began planning large-scale attacks against the United States, including the infamous 9/11 attacks, Abu Hafs strongly opposed the idea. He warned, if we strike America, the fire will consume us all. The Muslim world will pay the price. His pleas were ignored. And on September 11, 2001, as he watched the Twin Towers collapse on television, he whispered to himself, "This is not victory. This is the beginning of our ruin." Whole. Exile and captivity in Iran. After 9/11, the U.S. invaded Afghanistan. Al-Qaeda's network collapsed. Leaders were killed or scattered. Abu Hafs fled across the border into Iran in 2002 or 2003, seeking refuge. Instead, he was placed under house arrest by Iranian authorities, a confinement that would last almost 10 years. During those years, he lived in quiet reflection. He read, wrote, and prayed, questioning his past choices and the movement he had helped to build. By the time he turned 40, His beliefs had transformed. He no longer saw violence as the path to defend Islam, but rather as a betrayal of its essence. Dove, return and redemption. In 2012, Iran allowed him to return to Mauritania. He was briefly detained by local authorities, then released. Now nearly 45 years old, he emerged as a changed man, calm, thoughtful, and openly critical of terrorism.
True knowledge is the path to understanding and forgiveness.
He began speaking publicly, saying, "True jihad is not destruction, but self-restraint, knowledge, and justice."
Or balance
He called for moderation, wasatiyya in Islamic thought, and condemned extremist ideologies that twisted faith into hatred. He appeared on television, lectured at universities, and urged young Muslims to pursue education over violence. Today, in 2025, Abu Hafs al-Mauritani is about 58 years old, living in Nouakchott, the capital of Mauritania. He teaches, writes occasionally, and continues to preach peace and reconciliation. He no longer belongs to any organization, not Al-Qaeda, not politics, not power. He lives quietly with his family, reflecting on a journey that took him from the deserts of Mauritania to the mountains of Afghanistan, to the isolation of Iranian captivity, and finally, to inner peace. Ignorance, not unbelief, he once said, is the true enemy of Islam.